So, as I said, this is the Be Inspired event from the project Be Resilient, which is a European project, and you can see all the partners below. We are all cluster organizations active in mainly the food industry. So normally, most of the companies here are also active in the food industry. This is the agenda for today. So we had the entrance, now we are at the welcome part. And after that, we have a presentation on a value chain market study that has been done by Innovalliance as part of the project. And Sarah will tell you all about it. After that, we will have a presentation on the different available lump sums in the project. This will be done by Cécile from Wavralim, which is the coordinating cluster of the project. After that, we have a 5 minutes break just to like stretch your legs a bit. And then we have 3 more in-depth presentations on the 3 available lump sums that you can apply for. So one is on the business continuity plan. Sustainable Transformers will give a presentation on this and the importance of the business continuity plan. And then we will have a presentation by Market Access, and they will give you some tips for successful market entry in the USA and Canada. They also have experience with other countries, but they will focus on USA and Canada today, as it is also one of our target countries in the project. And then we have Vinidea, and this is actually a laureate company from our first Be Resilient application period, and they won an innovation voucher, and they will tell you a little bit more about their project and give you also some tips for the application. After that, we will have a Q&A session. It is quite long, so there will be a lot of room for questions. And then we have a break. And after that, Fabio from the cluster SER will share some tips and tricks for applicants. And we did actually a survey by to all the evaluators from the last application period, and they shared some findings that they saw at the applications, and they shared also some tips for better applications. So I think that is a very interesting part if you are interested in applying. Then there will be a wrap up, and then finally we will finish with the online networking part at Conversation Starter. So you will then have to go to the Conversation Starter page where you can meet with the persons that you booked a meeting with. So about the project, Be Resilient. So the goal of the project is to accelerate the transition of SMEs towards a green and digital economy. And we focus on food producing and processing SMEs and on the optimum use of biomass and digital solutions. As I said, it's a European project and all of the partners are cluster organizations. You can see on the map where we are all located. So we have 2 organizations from Belgium, we have 2 from France, 2 from Spain, 1 from Italy, and 1 from Greece. Nevertheless, you don't have to be part of one of these countries to be able to apply for the funding opportunities in Be Resilient. So that's quite an important point. If you're not in one of these countries, but you are in the European Union, then no worries, you can still apply for the funding. So we have some objectives in the project, which are listed here. And the main goal actually of the project is to fund food producing and processing companies to have innovation projects, to do BCP projects, and to do internationalization projects so that we can accelerate biomass valorization in Europe, and that we can actually also learn from each other. So that's also why we do this internationally oriented events where you can meet people from other countries and like get in touch with them and see how they tackle their problems, or what are their solutions for biomass valorization. So I share with you again the agenda, and I think we can now go to the presentation by Innovalliance on the value chain market study.
Thank you, Laura, for your presentation. I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, here we are. Hi, everybody. My name is Sara Botti. I'm the European Project Manager at Innovalliance, which is an innovation cluster based in the southeast of France. We were the leader of one of the first activity that was initiated under the Be Resilient project, which is the biomass market analysis, which objective was to identify and gather relevant actors and define value chains that offer opportunities in the biomass market for further elaboration. The intent is to inspire actions supporting a resilient agri-food industry. So based on the priorities and the needs of the regions that we cover within the partnership, we identified 5 biomass promising value chains, which are apple, wheat bran, grape and winemaking, dairy, and breweries spent grain. For each of these value chains, we are preparing one market study. And today, the objectives of this presentation is to share with you a very short overview of the main interesting results that we came across during our investigation, basically on the apple and wheat bran market studies that are the most advanced to date. Concerning the methodology that we adopted, well, once we had identified the priorities at regional level and the biomass studies, we used the Mintel database to provide an understanding of the byproduct market trends. So it gave us information on products and ingredients market trends, on the consumption trends, and so on. We also performed a literature review that allowed to illustrate the main physical-chemical characteristics of the biomass that we study, as well as the new interesting research lines concerning the valorization of side streams. And in the end, we went to the actors of the local value chains. We went on with the interviews. So we interviewed a lot of different types of organization, large companies, SMEs, but also technical and research, technical centers, research labs, universities. The idea was to provide regional context, identify current trends, and explore the current challenges. Concerning the apple, apple is a fruit that is frequently produced and consumed in Europe. As a matter of fact, it's 50% of the production is concentrated in Poland, Italy, and in France. And the study of these value chains was identified as a priority on 5 regions which are today covered by the Be Resilient partnership, which are Sud-Provence, Alpes-Côte d'Azur, Pays de la Loire, Brittany and Normandy in France, and Wallonia in Belgium. And we managed to interview 13 local actors of our respective local value chains. We have a lot of products that on the market that are apple-based products that have been launched in the past 5 years, more than 30,000, notably in food and drink, feed and health and hygiene sectors. We all know that depending on the transformation process of apples, there are various apple byproducts that are offering a great diversity of materials. And we decided to focus our attention on apple pomace, which represents between 20-25% or even sometimes up to 30% of the weight of the raw material, depending on the transformation process, making apple pomace really the main byproduct from apple processing. And we found that on the market, there are more than 2,000 apple pomace-based products that were launched to final consumers, again, between 2018 and 2022, mainly in food and pet food. Concerning the valorization of apple pomace, during our investigation, we came across with several valorizations ways. The most common in all our regions are in feed and energy, and some interesting ways of valorization are also have been identified in food, in packaging, and the extraction of bioactive compounds. And today the idea is to provide you with example of 3 interesting ways that we identified. The first one is in food, apple with the generation of apple flour that is an alternative to traditional wheat flour. It's rich in ingredients that are very interesting and have a lot of health benefits. There are 25 new products that have been launched between 2018 and 2022 that are based on apple flour. But again, this valorization, this way of valorizing apple pomace, it's facing a lot of challenges. We have still a smaller consumer demand for apple flour products, and we have a poor recognition for industries that use ingredients that are issued from a virtuous circular production process. And again, we also have some technological constraints that had also been identified mainly in Wallonia. Another interesting process this time that was identified is in food, and it's the use of apple pomace as a substrate for the fermentation and production of chemicals, such as organic acids, alcohol, protein, rich feeds, and enzymes. Fermentation techniques depend on several factors: the destination of the ingredient, the quality of the pomace, and so far. But fermentation also allows to produce functional ingredients for different markets, like food, nutraceuticals, cosmetics. So it could be an interesting way to diversify the ways of apple for companies. And again, we face challenges in terms of technological challenges, in terms of stabilization of the biomass, but also the size of the market for the end use of these ingredients. Last, concerning apple is the extraction of bioactive compounds. Apples and apple pomace are rich in polyphenols and vitamins, which are renewed for antioxidant properties and for their bioactive compounding like polyphenols. These are molecules that can be used in cosmetics, again in nutraceuticals and pharmaceuticals. But here, when we want to valorize apple pomace in this specific way, one of the challenges that we face is that limited volume of biomass that is in the end recycled, because to produce these molecules, you only need a very small fraction of apple pomace. And also there are high costs of extraction processes that sometimes do not match with the benefits that we have. Going on to the wheat bran value chain, wheat bran is a byproduct of wheat milling, which is a significant food processing industry in the European Union. For this value chain, it was decided to explore it in 6 regions covered by our partnership in Italy, in France, and in Belgium. And we managed to interview 7 local actors, like SMEs and large companies, but again, also research centers and 1 university. We don't have actual data, or it's very difficult to have statistics on the wheat bran production, but we can say that it represents between 15 and 25% of the wheat weight, depending on the final application. So we had to go for broader statistics to understand the importance of this market. So we know that European Union is the 2nd worldwide wheat producer. Soft wheat is mostly produced and traded in France and in Greece, and Italy accounts for 50% of the European durum wheat production. I mean, the market is quite interesting. And we know that wheat bran-based products are mostly present in food, notably in the bakery sector, but also in the feed market, where pet food based on wheat bran is growing. We also observed some new launches of products in the cosmetics sector. There are several ways of valorization of wheat bran. Again, some of them are more common, like bioenergy, feed and food. Some of them are emerging, like in cosmetics, nutraceuticals, and bioactive surfactants. and some of them we identify them only through the literature review, like the valorization in the pigment industry and the enzyme production. So again, I will concentrate myself only on the most interesting examples that we came across. One example of valorization of wheat bran was interesting is its use for feeding insects, which then are crushed to be transformed into insect meal or consumable insects. Wheat bran helps to stabilize humidity in the insect environment and improve the habitation of insects. And also the reason we identify a new research line, which is the treatment of wheat bran with ozone to enhance the nutritional value of insects. Another interesting way of valorizing wheat bran is in the cosmetics sector, where wheat bran holds a potential for utilization in cosmetic products due to its beneficial properties for skins and hair care. Here we observe 27 products that includes wheat bran ingredients that launched between 2018 and 2022, mainly in hair care. But there are a number of challenges that still are to be faced to valorize wheat bran in these sectors. And the most important ones, I think, that are the production costs that can be high, and the fact again that the quantity of the biomass that in the air is recycled is very limited. And finally, an interesting ways of valorization that we came across is the one in bioactive surfactants. It's an experience that emerged, at least, or we observed thanks to an Interreg project that was conducted on the border between France and Belgium. So wheat bran indeed is rich in carbohydrates that can be used to produce biosurface surface active molecules that can be used in cosmetics, household detergents, and agrochemicals. So they can be an interesting way to replace molecules that have a fossil origins. When it comes to overall and very general conclusion, we can say that the valorization of bioproducts depends on several sectors. So what are the growing condition of the biomass, the species, the transformation process. There is a lot still to be done to develop cost-effective technologies to extract, process, and transform bioproducts into invaluable ingredients, at least in the way of the valorization that we mentioned, the new and emerging one. So the well-known are in feed and food or energy that come again in every byproduct that we study. But in the other one, I think that this is the basic need that we identified. There is also a need to find available business models for the enterprise and to find a good balance between the cost of transforming bioproducts and the potential benefits. When we talk about cosmetics, or when we talk about apple flower, for instance, we talk about very niche markets where we do have a limited volume of bioproduct that is recycled. There is still a poor recognition for the industries that use an ingredient that is issued from a virtuous circular production process. And then finally, from the interviews, it's there is the need to educate the final consumer to generate more demand and then consequently more profits for the industries. And that's all on my side. And I thank you all for your attention.
Thank you, Sarah, for your presentation. So just a reminder to all, if you have some questions, you can put them in the chat, and then we have the Q&A afterwards. So I will now give the floor to Cécile.
Thank you, Laura. I'm going to share my screen as well. So I have the pleasure to present you just the Be Resilient project, the second cutoff. Do you see my screen? Is it okay?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So just to remember, the aim of the project is to empower food processing and producing SMEs to become more resilient by means of an optimum use of biomass. So the focus is both on maximizing usage of available feedstock and on valorization of side streams. We already had a first cutoff from May to July. The second one is started the 1st November and is open till 1st February 2024. Under the acceleration lump sum, we have 3 different types of financial support. We have the BCP, the Business Continuity Plan, the innovation, and the internationalization. Both lump sum are for food processing and producing SMEs. There is just one more possibility for the innovation under the INO support solution providers and technology partners can also apply, they can also participate, but they have to be with food processing or producing company.
Still, we cannot see the presentation moving.
Okay. Is it, and there, is it okay?
It's okay now.
Okay, great. Thank you, Catherine. So we are going to start with the first one, the BCP, the Business Continuity Plan. The aim of the BCP is to help the business to efficiently go back to activities after a major incident or crisis that directly affects operation. We had to go through a couple of crises those last years, such as Corona. We also had crisis with the war in Ukraine. And so enterprises, SMEs who dealt with business continuity plan could just deal better with crisis than other. That's why we want to offer the possibility to have a business continuity plan. The focus still remain exactly the same, the optimum use of biomass towards resilience. And what is BCP? You are going to have a nice presentation after the break. It should be a living document providing step-by-step measure to be taken in case of disturbance in logistic, production, raw material. Be just very careful. It does not include sales, marketing, or similar subject. So it's the focus is on logistic. So it's the first step of the production and the raw material. Innovation, the aim is to help SMEs to adapt innovative process or technologies to reinforce transformation into a greener and a more digital economy. The focus is still the same, the optimum use of biomass towards resilience. And the innovation is, the aim of the innovation project is to lead, to help SMEs to implement a new process or a new product. If your project has a higher TRL from 5, your project will get a higher score as well, because the aim of this innovation project is to implement the solution. You have to be careful that solution should be address green, digital, and internationalization perspective, at least 2 out of 3 of those perspectives. Internationalization, the aim is to address third country markets with biomass resilient products or service that have been developed. How can we help you with the internationalization? You can go to look for new contacts, to learn a benchmark or a market study of third country. We can also help you to travel to international exhibition, booking of booth at exhibition in third territories identified by Be Resilient. The region targeted by Be Resilient is North America and Northeast Asia. In North America, USA and Canada, and Northeast Asia, it's Thailand, Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and China. Be just careful. It's the territories identified by Be Resilient. If you have a project in other third territories, it's also possible. The only thing is, again, we have a different section, and your score will be a little bit lower if you go in another, if you want to work with another third territory. Let's go now with the finance. So the BCP, the length of the BCP should be in up to 6 months maximum. We have for this second cutoff 12 BCP available, and the amount to manage a BCP is 17,000 euro. It's the maximum amount you can ask when you ask for a BCP. You have to ask minimum, so the whole project should be minimum half the amount. It's for the whole lump sum. So it means for the BCP, you may ask from 8,500 euro till 1,700 euros. The innovation, the project could be led up to 12 months. There are only 3 innovation projects left, and the amount is bigger. It's 27,000 euro. So as I said, the minimum amount you have to ask is half the amount, and the maximum is 27,000 euro. For this lump sum innovation, you may work with other SMEs. You can go to 3 SMEs working together. So it's possible that just one project can have the whole amount for his project if 3 SMEs are working together. And the last one is internationalization. It's also up to 12 months. There are 29 lump sum left, and the total amount is 7,500 euro. So with this project, we still have more than 5,100 euros left. Be just careful that there is a maximum of 60,000 grants per SMEs under Be Resilient project. But it means that if you are SMEs and you want to apply for the BCP for an innovation or an internationalization, you can do that. You can just introduce 3 different projects. If you have a different project in internationalization, it's possible. If you focus on Canada, for example, and Japan, it's also possible. And I let you just have a look at the website Cluster Food Massy. You will have all information on the Be Resilient project, all data, and of course there is still the Q&A at the end of the session if you have any question. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Cecile. I put the link of the project in the chat, so you can all have a look there. We are a bit faster than expected, so that's actually nice. And so we now have a break already until 10 to 2. So it's 10 minutes instead of 5 minutes. So you can actually get some water or something. So I will see you back in about 10 minutes, and then we will go on with the next presentations. I can maybe already answer the question in the chat that's here because I think it's quite important. So I see Michael asks if the funding is only towards the biomass value chains that are presented. No, it's actually for all biomass value chains. So there's no priority given to the ones that were presented by Sarah. It's just all of them. It's as a consortium we decided to focus on the ones that are more important in our regions to go more in depth with analysis. So hope this answers your question. All right, I think, Roel, you're back on your laptop?
Yes, I'm back. Yes, sure.
All right, perfect. So we can start with the presentation.
Are you guys seeing my presentation? Is everybody seeing it? Yeah? All right. Do you see it on full screen or?
Yes.
Yeah? All right, perfect. All right, then thank you everyone for waiting for the technical glitch, but we worked it out. All right, so Roel and I are gonna basically explain to everyone why a business continuity plan is important, if not essential. Cici already touched with a few words on it, explaining indeed the different crises that already occurred and are already, well, still, such as what happens in Ukraine and the whole geopolitical, the rest of the world. So Roel and I are Dutch-based, with the Sustainable Transformers, are a Dutch-based company. So we deliver consulting, and we say for a common future. Our motto is basically used from or inspired from the Brundtland report, which is actually the inspiration for the 17 SDGs at the United Nations deal with subsequently the Green Deal in Europe. Which is indeed that we can strive as a society without doing harm to our environment in being more inclusive, resilient, and innovative. Our scope of expertise is sustainability, digitalization, and business resilience. Of course, we look at it from a business perspective. What we often see is that organizations, whether private or public, have to deal with a lot of constraints coming from indeed the Green Deal, the laws and regulations that are being applicable already since 2015, and they need a starting point. And Roel and I both have a background in tech, in marine logistics, and so on and so forth.
Because I like.
Hello.
Okay.
Welcome. We both have a background in finance and in economics. Hence, we also check from a company's perspective and see how we can actually look at the green, what we need, the big transitions in the green market as an opportunity and mitigate the risks instead of a constraint and a burden. We base our approach on the EU strategy, the Green Deal, making sure that organizations can be CSRD compliant and compliant to other legislation. And of course, our idea is to embrace the complexity through innovation and digitalization in order to make it an opportunity. I'm seeing someone trying to talk, but sir, you're on mute, so I don't know if... All right, then I will just continue. All right, our expertise is your winning card, because our idea is to share our knowledge and to help you actually create a plan and strategize and implement that plan in order to make sure that your organization will be future-proof. In order to do so, of course, we need to make sure that you have a starting point. And to create that starting point, we need to diagnose and determine and achieve those sustainable goals. But in order to do so, we need to indeed dig into, and as Cecile mentioned, we're not touching on the marketing and sales of your company, but the entire supply chain, the logistics, and when we say supply chain, also to close the loop, of course, the whole production process, see how digitalization and innovation is integrated, or maybe not yet, into your organization. We work by thinking ahead, but in small steps. And the step-by-step BCP that Roel will introduce later on will help you actually not only survive the crises that are coming, whether they are financial, health crisis, and are geopolitical, but also be actually a few steps ahead in order to assure the continuity of your organization. One of the tools that we will use within the creation of course, your resilience strategy is indeed to future-proof your business with the twin transition. So the twin transition is the digitalization and sustainability taken in together. That's where the word twin comes in. So innovation and new technologies help companies deal with different crises, such as how to deal with my critical raw materials in a smarter way, how to reduce my water consumption. But at the same time, digitalization also has an environmental impact. Hence, using technology, innovation, and digitalization as a whole without doing it in a sustainable and environmentally friendly manner, actually we create not a positive solution, but a negative one, because at the end of the day, you will basically move from one problem to another. So digitalization, not just as an efficiency tool, but indeed as an innovative and as basically as a solution to reduce your environmental impact, but at the same time, go on smarter with the materials that you're using or the resources that you needed in a sustainable manner. So indeed, that's what we call sustainability with IT, when you're not into digitalization yet, or at least it's not fully used, technologies are not really integrated, and sustainability of IT, meaning that you're a highly innovative and technological organization. However, those processes are not sustainable or not sustainable enough. The value of using the twin transition within your business continuity plan is indeed that you will be compliant to EU regulations on sustainability requirements and criteria. It's also the basis, of course, like I mentioned, for the business resilience and continuity of your company, because it helps you not just being cost efficient, but making sure that your company actually will be ahead of future developments approaching 2030 and other deadlines. And the twin transition helps your organization to adapt. So when we talk about energy, sustainability, the circular economy, food and digitalization, that's one of the solutions that we can use to help you create your business continuity plan and implementation. Roel, I'm going to leave it to you on explaining what resilience is and why you need it and how to create the BCP.
Yeah, thank you, Katja. Let's talk about resilience and continuity. What we've seen and learned from the latest energy crisis, and obviously also from Corona, is that a lot of companies were not prepared for a massive crisis like these two. And as we see in Holland, but probably it is also seen in other European countries, that companies are struggling. The effects of the energy crisis and of the Corona crisis are still being felt, and probably it's not over yet. We see more and more companies go bankrupt at the moment due to the problems they had years ago. And this is where resilience can come in, because resilience, it means that an organization has got the capacity to deal with change, and they continue to develop. So resilience is about how an organization can use shocks and disturbances to spur renewal and innovative thinking. So what we see, and that is also covered by research, that companies who were working on sustainability and digitalization, these companies had much less impact from Corona and energy crisis. And what we see is that the importance of sustainability and resilience of digitalization is not only important for nature or for to be more cost effective. It has got a long effect on your company. It's the basis of the continuity of your company, that you're able to adapt to changes. And that's why we think that a resilience plan should be part of the company's strategy. So the goal of a business continuity plan is to create resilience. You can do that by executing a strategy that prepares your organization to be able to absorb these shocks, because especially when Corona hits us, we didn't see that one coming. It was far away in China, and overnight, the shock was also in Europe, and we didn't see that coming. And immediately, organizations got into trouble. And a resilience plan, it will help you that when a crisis will hit us again, that you are prepared for that, and that your company is just riding the waves, instead of that you are overwhelmed by the wave. So the value of a business continuity plan is that your organization will be less susceptible to a crisis. So when the crisis comes, you are already prepared. You have your adaptability in place. You are a flexible company. And you can do that by using sustainability and digitalization in advantage of your own company. So it will prepare you. So there is another good thing about being resilient. No, Katja, can we go back one? It's not only that you are prepared for a crisis, and these research have been done already in the 90s of the previous century, that companies that are prepared themselves for all kinds of crises, and these companies are much more flexible and able to adapt to environmental issues. These companies have got a competitive edge, and they perform better than organizations that didn't prepare themselves with a continuity plan. Because even that when there is no crisis, which is like more business as usual, we see that companies who are prepared for a crisis in normal economic situation, these companies are also performing better. So that is interesting. Can we see the next one? So how can you make a business continuity plan? We've got 4 big steps. Of course, there's more to it than this, but it doesn't fit in one screen. So let's start with 4 big steps. First, you create a BHAG. A BHAG stands for Big, Hairy, Audacious Goal. So it's somewhere on the horizon. You can see it. It's huge, but the shape is not all that clear. So it might be some hairy ball or something. And that's why they call it a BHAG. And you have to create this BHAG on important topics like sustainability, circularity. Your financial goals are very important because at the end of the day, most of the organizations are companies and you have to be financially healthy. This is also something that we want to stipulate, that unless sustainability and circularity is important, companies also need to be financially healthy. And these two can go hand in hand, and that's what we work on. The second step you have to do is you make a twin transition analysis. So you look at topics like sustainability, circularity, and digitalization, and you check in the environment what's happening. And what does it mean for my company? That's step 3. Then you do a business process analysis. How does my value chain look at this moment? What's the logistics? How is my production looking? How's my finance looking at this moment? And is this in line with what I've got in my BHAG? Is this in line with what I've seen in my environment based on my twin transition analysis? And then you can make a plan based on these 3 steps. Then you can have either a recovery plan, what is important, or you can have a resilience plan. A recovery plan is much more an action plan that when the resilience is not in place completely, it could be handy to have an action plan in place that when a crisis hits you, you know how to recover from that crisis tomorrow. That's what I would call a recovery plan. But you also have to do resilience plan, and the resilience plan is a plan that will make your company riding the waves. So from this BCP, I would suggest that you have 2 plans, 1 a recovery plan and 2 a resilience plan. Can we have the next one? Yeah. So in order to do that, we have some products, and these products are along the line learn, plan, do, and do. So what we've seen that there's enough to learn about topics like sustainability, circularity, twin transition, and resilience. So we share knowledge, we create awareness, we offer a network, and we practice with cases on these important topics. Of course, we can help you to realize a business resilience plan, to prepare to absorb the shocks. we've got a very interesting product. It's a twin transition roadmap in a day, and that's where we guide you in one day how you can make a twin transition roadmap. Because building a twin transition roadmap is something that you have to do. It will take you months to do it, but it's good to go through it in a day. Then you know where you have to look for, and then you can do most of the roadmap yourself. Another interesting thing is an IT cost scan, because lots of companies that do have IT, they're not totally sure if the IT they have is fit for their organization. Sometimes they have way too much cloud storage or something like that, and it costs lots of money. Prices of Microsoft has gone up 30% this year. It's staggering. And do we all need these cloud storage? Well, you could say if you have all these cat movies, you can say no, we don't need it. But we have to be clear that using IT is bad for environment because it needs energy, lots of energy. At this point in time, energy using for data is about 3.5% of all energy used in the world. It's as much as a plane. It's all the planes in the world. In 2 to 3 years, it's 7%. And in 2040, 14% of all energy consumption is data. So we have to be very aware that using IT is important for cost effectiveness, but it also costs money, and it costs energy, and it costs CO2 emissions. And the hardware of the IT uses the same critical raw materials as we need for the energy transition. So by using more IT, we've got less raw materials for the energy transition. So we will walk around in circles around the critical raw materials. So we can help this energy transition by using less IT. So we have to do more IT, but do it smart. So that is what the IT cost can deliver you. And at the end, we've got a sustainability culture program. This is a one-year program, and it's got workshops in it and on-the-job training where we support the employees to make the transition. We are not a year on site. It's on fixed points in time that we can help you. It's more like a ticket system that you can use. I need help, and then we can help you. This is also, you need to be sometimes on premise, but we can do this also online, which is also good for CO2 emissions because we don't have to drive the car or something. So this is our products. Katja.
Thanks, Roel. I think that what's also important to say is that, especially in the food, whether you're in food production process or food tech, or that you are yourself creating a new technology, be aware that once we talk about the continuity of your organization, that means that you need to go through your entire organization. So even the products that Roel named, we usually like to do it in a transdisciplinary way, as every layer of your organization has a part to play into your whole continuity as an organization. So if you need any information regarding how to become resilient, but most importantly, how to create a business continuity plan to at least make sure that once a crisis arrives, you have the tools and you have a way to continue your organization and not be into a critical condition, such as we saw with the COVID and energy crisis and so on and so forth. The question is not anymore when the crisis is going to occur. We know the issues that play at in each countries in Europe and in the world in general. But also, if you need more information on what we named specifically, just reach out to us. I will put the rule in my email address also in the chat. If you just have a question, please do. That doesn't cost you anything, but some information on where to search, it's also sometimes needed because you all need a starting point. I think that that's something that we all understand. But a business continuity plan is important, not just for getting green funding, not just for today, but this will actually allow you to continue your organization and be financially healthy, as well as using your raw materials in a smarter way. Thank you very much. Laura?
All right, thank you for your presentation and for the useful insights in the business continuity plan. So I will now give the floor to Paula.
Hi.
Or Harold. Sorry.
Yes, hi, Laura. I'm going to just do a quick introduction and then Paula will be taking over. First of all, we wanted to thank you, the organization of the event, for allowing us to participate. We work for Market Access, which is a consultancy firm that's been around for 18 years, and the only thing we do is help companies going international. Joining me from Washington, D.C. is our correspondent, Paula Cohen, who will be presenting today 5 key subjects that you must take into account when trying to approach the North American markets. So we were given a very small window of time, which is 15 minutes. I think I'm already taking 1 minute. So the presentation we will be sharing, it's going to be available. So it's going to be hard for us to cover every topic. So you can request it and take a look at it, because it's going to be, all the information will be there. So now, yes, Paula will be taking over, and thank you once again. Hi, Paula, are you there? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Harold. Thank you, Laura, and good afternoon, good morning for me. And the first, can anybody see the presentation?
Not yet.
Not yet, Paula.
We are seeing ourselves now.
Okay, what about now?
No.
Still not. By the third try, Paula.
Okay, I'm not a very good person with Teams. I'm more used to Zoom. So let's see. I started again. Open share tray. And then I go here. Allow to share screen. Large. That's me.
Okay.
Stop sharing.
I think you need to select like the right window.
The window you want to share.
Yes, you need to really find the right window.
Okay, so let's start again. Apologize. This is, so I have to allow, I have a Mac, allow to share window or to share screen. Which one should I press?
Share screen you can do, and then we can share we can see your full screen and you can go to your presentation.
Okay.
You share the screen, and then if you have your screen open, you just click on it and we see it.
Yes, and now you can click on your presentation.
Open Keynote, and it will be there.
Yeah, it's open.
No, but click on the Keynote icon, so it becomes your.
Yes,
exactly.
We can
yes.
see it.
Yay.
Thanks.
Okay, very good. So I lost a couple of minutes. Good morning. I'm Paula Cohen. I'm or good afternoon to everybody. And I promise I will do it as expected in terms of time. So let me just actually put my time on. And exactly. So here we go.
And can you make your screen a bit bigger? I'm sorry, can you make your screen a bit bigger so that we can see it better? Yeah, that's perfect. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. So I come to you today from Washington, D.C. to present in very briefly the opportunities and challenges of the U.S. and Canadian markets. Both markets have a very widely diverse consumer. and consumer population, and present unique opportunities for international exporters, and open a bound for high value, differentiated niche and on-trade products. So Canada is a very developed and competitive market with a sophisticated consumer. And for both markets, price and quality are key when trying to enter in these markets. Having said that, there are some difficulties, some challenges, but we believe that as long as you have a good product, a sound business and export plan, and ideally a local partner, whether it's an important distributor or representative or even a joint venture, you should be able to succeed. In this presentation, I'll focus on 5 core points that are important as a strategy to enter the market to both of these countries. The first one is that you need to determine very well what makes your offer special. Is it the quality? Is it the price? Is it an innovative solution, a cutting edge technology? So you have to be prepared what is already in the market. So make sure consumers perceive they are buying an indisputable value-added product. And that is absolutely similar between United States and Canada. So having something new is frequently regarded as the key for success. So one thing that is very important in terms of United States is its size. And I will have a chart later on where you will understand this better, but due to the size of the country and population, many states can be central market. Although each one has its own complexity and not necessarily is a perfect match for your product, but still, it may be one way to start your journey in the market. So it's very important to do a very thorough market analysis of the United States to make sure that your products fit the needs of the market and choose the geographic area or state that better suited your product, or your product is better suited for. The size of the market is the biggest difference between Canada and the United States. So Canada has a population of 40 million, while the United States is 340 million. And Canada markets are basically the Canadian market is basically in 3 provinces, in 6 metropolitan areas only. Only 6 have a population over $1 million. Large geographic area, but a much smaller consumer population. So here he goes. As if you look at this chart, it's very impressive to see that California used to be the 7, but it looks like according to this, it's even better. So it's on the first 5 most richest countries in the world. And then you have Texas on the 7. You have Canada after New York on the 9th, and then you have Mexico, which is on the 14th place, and Florida on the 15th place. We're talking about very high purchase power and very, very rich markets, and that open huge opportunities. So one of the very important things is and this is the second point, is finding an importer or distributor that covers the state or the geographic area. It's one way to enter and to start your business in the market. And once you establish that relationship, you can choose to have a long-term partnership, or you can then start your own distribution. In Canada, it's a little simpler of a market. Most of the importers are located in the metro areas of Toronto and Montreal, and 85 of the Canadian imports are clear in the province of Ontario or Quebec, and then from there go to the rest of the country. Certifications, extremely important, is a third point. You must have certifications. And even though some certifications are recognized globally, the US and Canada have their own certifications requirements for many products categories, in particular for the food industry. So you have, that's a very important thing. Prepare your product for the market before you come to the market. And that includes also the label. The label has to comply with the FDA and the Canadian correspondence of the FDA and other agency standards, sometimes at state level as well. And that's exactly what I'm saying here in this slide. You have to pay attention to the state regulations because often on top of the federal regulations, you are obliged to also follow the state regulations, which vary from state to state in the United States. And the same thing, it happens a little bit with Canada. What is very important in Canada is about the labels, that is mandatory to have them both written in both English and French. Most of the times, if something is approved by FDA, it's almost like a green light for Canada, but not always. So you have to pay very close attention to the small details and make sure that that's the case, because sometimes there are some exceptions. In terms of culture, the US business communications are usually very direct. Email is preferable, especially in the beginning. People appreciate getting straight to the point. So the clients expect you to conduct the business in English. So if you don't have a person who speaks English, you should make sure you get someone in your team who gets someone for your team who speaks the language. Americans are not the best in languages, as you know. So, and the culture part, the American business culture, and when I say American, includes Canada as well. Sometimes it may seem very, very similar to European, but it is considerably different. So, and there are some small details that are small, but that are very important if you want to succeed. In Canada, there are two official languages, so English and French, but you can conduct most of the business in English. You know, they have been, Canada and the United States have been partners forever. They have very, very important trade agreements. And often if you enter one of the markets, it's halfway to enter the other one. So the French language is mandatory again along with the English for the labels. So in a nutshell, the size of the US economy, the high disposable income of its population, and the level of maturity of its business and consumers make it a very appealing market. The same Canada as well is a very interesting market, especially for innovative products, despite having a smaller number of consumers. There are, although, some challenges that I already explained. And so study your offer thoroughly to make sure it's adapted to the market you are targeting. So study your product, differentiate your product, say what is different about your product. And the size of the market, especially the US, is enormous, although you may not necessarily, it may not be the best strategy to look at the country as a whole, but look at a geographic area or one or two states to begin your journey. In Canada, that does not apply as much as I said before. A local partner, it's very important, whether it is an importer, a distributor, or even a joint venture. It does cost money, but it's an investment that is highly recommended to succeed in these markets. Certifications are key, as I said. Make sure you have the right ones at both federal and state levels, and conduct your business in English and according to the client's habits and culture. And packaging and label, extremely important. So FDA and the Canadian Food Inspection Agency enforces regulations and in consumer commodities, both in terms of label as well as like the facilities certifications, which is something that is also very important for your facility to be certified by FDA. That's a very easy, actually, process as long as your facility follows the European regulations. And just another couple of things. I think if you are entering into an agreement in any of these markets, you should seek competent legal advice. It's important to pay a very close attention to the product liability, intellectual property, and finally, and this is very, very important, especially in the food industry, the liability insurance. So, have an insurance broker close by who is familiar with your product and sector, types of coverage, terms, and restrictions. So thank you again. I was 30 seconds over time of my 12 minutes. So I'm completely available, as well as Harold, to answer any questions now or later. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
All right, thank you, Paula, for your presentation. Harold, is there anything more you want to say? Because I see that you're unmuted. No, okay.
No, I just unmuted because she was finishing, and thank you
all right.
for the opportunity, Laura.
Perfect. If there are any questions, you can ask them later, because we have the Q&A later. Also, maybe to like frame these both presentations a bit that we had, as Cecilia explained, we have the internationalization and the BCP lump sum that you can
get out of here.
That's okay. So we have the internationalization and the BCP lump sums that you can apply for, and in both of these lump sums, you can ask for external help, like people from market access or sustainable transformers or any other external help that you want. So that's why we wanted to present to you some possibilities. All right, so the last one before the Q&A is Johnny.
Yes.
So I see him already
Hi,
here,
Laura.
so you can share your screen.
Thank you, Laura. And let's see if I can share the screen, and I hope you can see it.
Yes.
Good. Okay. So I'm Gianni Trioli. So Laura was introducing me. Vinidea is my company, and that's we are an innovation broker of the wine industry. So in practice, what we are a scavenger, we are seek for new things, new knowledge or new technologies around the world, and transfer that to the production into different regions of the wine producing countries. So that's what we do, and we have been. We are also quite active in European projects, European research, and when we have seen the open call, we started to think if we could apply for something. We are also publisher. We have an internet journal in 6 languages on wine technology, and we are organizing congresses around the world on the same topics. So Be Resilient Open Call was already introduced at the beginning of in the first presentation of today, is dealing with the optimum use of biomass and dealing with developing new processes and new product, and toward a more green and a more digital economy. So we were thinking about what to do, and what I'm now trying to show you is what is, let's say, the logical path, a logical procedure that we went through to apply, and we have been financed, so that's probably something that you may get inspired from. First of all, we had an approach think about the whole industry, not so much about our enterprise. Of course, the enterprise sustainability is important, but we wanted to approach the topic thinking about the whole industry, European especially industry, but not only. So, what does the wine industry produce biomass? Of course, yes. That's also was one of the one of the situation, one of the that was explained at the beginning as one of the different industries with biomass. We do produce a lot of biomass. You see here some numbers in terms of tons at Europe level, and we have tailings from the vineyard, stalls, seeds, skin, lees, with quite big quantities. So we're talking about millions of tons every year which are produced. And of course, there are already byproducts which are obtained. So alcohol, oil, sometimes from seed, tartaric acid, sometimes polyphenols. So some things are already used from this, mostly obtained at distilleries, so big industrial facilities. We will go back again on this point. We want to focus on a new thing. That is a new compound. Let's say is a compound. Is a something which is contained in the seeds of the grape, but is not now exploited because no one is extracting it from the seeds. We are talking about phytic acid, which is the way how vegetable store phosphorus in their seeds. And this is something which is already, of course, in wheat bran, which was one of the other environment which was mentioned. Also in malt, in barley, but in maize, in soya, and many other vegetables. It differed very in different percentages. And in seeds, we have grape wine seed have about 3% of phytate. Is not a lot, but considering the total amount of byproduct of the wine industry, we are talking about something like 25,000 tons every year, with a potential value of several hundred millions of euros. So that's something that may worth to think about. Phytate is used into the food industry, beverage industry, but also in cosmetics, also in dentistry, also in medicine. Has a lot of application, has been considered for many years a nutritional limiting factor because it's able to capture iron and make it not available to monogastric animals, including humans, but now is somehow rehabilitated. There is a lot of interest in different industries for its effect. So we started to figure out the work plan, which was the first part. And we present the project with two tasks. One is concerning how to extract phytate from grapeseed, of course, so the process. The other one is how to use phytate and to make value on this, of course, into the wine industry. We didn't explore the other uses that we may consider. For what concerns the extraction and the development of a process, we had also two approaches we want to get. One is to apply what is already used on rice bran or wheat bran or other byproduct around the world, especially in Asia. So it's an industrial approach that can be done in an industrial facility. But we also want to explore a little bit if there is any possibility to downscale somehow this process into winery environment. Why? Because wine industry is extremely fractionated. So consider that we have in Europe, we have about 2 million of farmers who are producing wine grapes, but we have 100,000 wineries, so producing byproduct from them. 100,000 is a huge amount for the amount of for the wine which is produced, and most of the byproduct are the big majority of byproduct are treated and processed into big distilleries, which are big facilities, and the existence is mainly due to public funding, public support from European Union. So they get some money for each degree of alcohol that they obtain in their process. So it's very concentrated and, let's say, not so market-driven business, the one of the byproduct extraction. And we want to see if we can do some of this extraction process at winery level, so a small scale and with the limits of the winery environment. The second task is how to make value, because without having clear the value, no winery will think about extracting them from the byproduct. And there are actually a certain amount of potential effect for reuse in terms of the circular economy, phytate in wine as antioxidant, of course, as let's say chelating heavy metals that might jeopardize the quality of the wine, and also to provide more tartrate stability in wine. So that's also part of the thing we wanted to explore. And as I told you, we were thinking to it as a in terms of whole value chain. So that's what was our approach to explain why the impact of this project might be big enough, because we can think about having what we call biorefinery wineries, so small winery who are implementing the process of extraction and to reuse the phytate in their winemaking, but also they can be a sort of a local hub for other wineries who want to make the pomace and to be treated at that winery, and to create again another business in selling the phytate which is produced. Or we can think about joint venture with the bigger entities who can have a more industrial approach in the extraction, but also they can take care of distribution, or they can exploit this into value in other industries. And that's the basis of our thought on business continuity plan, because we also applied on that. In terms of partnership, we are providing knowledge, but we are not we have expertise in project management, and we have a technical knowledge where we are not experimental facilities. So we got another partner into the project, which is a laboratory placed in Tuscany in Italy, and they do have very wide analytical capacity and an experimental winery there. We can start on some trials. And also we applied to the international lump sum because because there are some good reasons for exploring USA in this case. The main one is that, as I told you, we in Europe we have very many small, medium wineries, and we also have a very strict regulatory framework on wine production. So, for example, a winery cannot store liters, even liters of alcohol, or cannot use some chemical compounds. So they cannot, in practice, use it. USA is different, very different in terms of industry characteristic. First of all, the production is much more concentrated, not only geographically, because the majority is in California, like 80% of the US production is a big producer worldwide, and also much concentrated in terms of structure. So if I'm not, if I remember well, the first 10 player account for 70% of the wine production in California. So that's a very concentrated approach, very concentrated structure, so they can think about an industrial approach and not only to the craft, let's say, approach. Also, they do have, of course, restrictions. They have FDA, TBB regulations, so you cannot do everything, but you can do much more in the wineries than in Europe. You have much more possibilities to do and much less bureaucracy. So that might be a place in US where this phytate use might become mainstream much more quickly than what can happen in Europe. And so that's why we propose a little dissemination action in California next year. And I think that's all. I don't know if I've been too long. I apologize if it is the case. And these are my data, personal data, and that of my company. So whatever question you have, you can, of course, come and ask.
All right, thank you, Jenny, for your presentation. I hope it inspired some of you to apply for not only one, but maybe 2 or 3 vouchers or lump sums, as we call them now. Also, I hope it gave you some insight in what we are looking for in the projects that you can apply for, and also like in the process of how to make a good application. We now have some Q&A time, so if somebody has a question, I don't see anything in the chat, but maybe you
Yes.
still
Yeah,
have.
we do have a question, Laura, on the chat
Ah,
already.
yeah, the first one, right?
Yes,
Yeah, so I
we are
answered
gonna.
it already. That no, we are not. You don't have to apply for a project in the value chain that was presented by Sarah. You can apply for any other value chain. You don't have like more points or something if you are in value chains that we focus on in the project. We just decided to focus on some value chains as a consortium because we cannot obviously focus on all of them to go more in depth and do some market studies about. It is, however, the case in the internationalization projects, as Cecile said, that we have some regions defined where you get higher scores if you choose to go for these regions that we have defined, which are in Asia and in North America. But otherwise, there is no more. Yeah. I see another question. For Johnny, did you work with market access to discover USA potential for the internationalization voucher?
Not specifically with that company, because we have a quite long experience in US and other market for limited to wine industry. So we didn't feel at that stage, at least, the need of getting some consultancy. But I imagine they may be extremely useful in another stage or for other people who have less experience into the US market, for what I understood.
All right, are there some more questions?
I don't see any other questions on the chat.
Okay, that's totally no problem. Then maybe we can just go for the break because actually we're quite on time. So we can just go for a break until 3 and then Fabio will give a presentation on the tips and tricks. That will be the last presentation of the day. And then from about like 3:30, there is the possibility to network online on Conversation Starter. You can still ask for some meetings or book some meetings on the platform. So if you are inspired by the presentations that have been given, you can still go on the Conversation Starter and ask for a meeting with one of the presenters. They're all there normally. Or with any other person, obviously, that you find there on the platform. So I suggest to see you back at 3 with Fabio. And then if you have questions in the meantime, don't hesitate to ask them, put them in the chat, or we'll see. All right. So see you back at 3. All right, we are about to start. Can you hear me? Yes, okay, because last time I had some issues.
Perfect.
I see there is a new question from Michael who wants to connect with AT Cluster. They are indeed a partner in the project. I can send you the email of Theo, who is in charge of the cluster, and then you can connect directly to him through email. I can put it in the chat if there are other interested people. Let's see. So his name is actually something longer than Theo, but I really cannot like say it in the really Greek way, but it's like Theodoros or something. So we always call him Theo, but as his email address is just T point, I just wanted to let you know that it's Theo or Theodoros. All right, if we are ready, if Fabio is ready, then you can totally start with the presentation on the tips and tricks.
Hi, Laura. Thank you. Thank you very much. And good afternoon to everybody. I'm Fabio Fregonese. I work for the agri-food cluster of Emilia-Romagna region in the frame of European projects. So I'm quite familiar with templates and applications of innovation project and other measure addressed mainly to SMEs. Before starting my presentation, I will point out that in my previous experience as evaluator in the first round of application for the Be Resilient project, I took many conversation and share information with other evaluators. Notwithstanding that this is mainly my presentation, a personal point of view of what I do expect as evaluator from the applications. And in the last part of my presentation, I will share with you what is emerged from different discussions among evaluators, all the evaluators that have participated in the first round of Be Resilient innovation voucher applications. So let's start with some tips and tricks for you to draft a successful proposal. Of course, before starting your work, I don't have questioned if there is anybody that is a wannabe applicant here in attending this presentation. In case, just you can write specific question and specific request of contacts to go more in depth with the contents I'm going to share with you. I will say before starting, of course, my suggestion is dive into a careful read of the acceleration call guidelines. and the frequently asked questions, because here there are many important information for you to, to start working on the proposal. And in case also during the application phase, do not hesitate to contact all the Be Resilient project partners to have more clarification information and what you need to know to go on in your application. I will start with a personal interpretation for me of what I do expect from the answers that applicants may put in the proposal template. So if we start with the business continuity plan, as you see in the template, you are requested to start with the project description, an overall project description that, in my opinion, could be useful for you to draft for first and then review for last after I've put all the information in the proposal. This is not only for the business continuity plan, but also for the other innovation voucher schemes. My suggestion is, when you are requested to write a kind of executive summary of your project, please do follow a kind of logic train, starting from what is the situation. So in the business continuity plan, the business context, then identifying the problem, issue, and disturbance that we have talked about earlier. Then set specific objectives for you and for your business continuity plan realization or update, and then go through the indication of the activities that you are going to carry out for drafting your business continuity plan, and finally your expected outcome and impact, the final results, let's say, of your project. If we analyze more in depth the technical excellence, feasibility, and viability criteria that is subdivided in different sub-criteria, what I do expect in the BCP scope is, of course, clearly identify the biomass processes and an explanation of why it is necessary to assess the potential issues in your context, and link this one with the sequent one that is the biomass resilience scope, in which the events that may make necessary BCP in your biomass related process, and what is why the optimization toward resilience is necessary. Then going through the methodology, of course, I do expect that you will reply to the question how your BCP will be realized. So focus on the methodology and how you will work during the 6-month project. A definition of the expertise you need, both internal and external, a clear description of the expected results. That would be the effects, in my opinion, of the BCP adoption in your company, and how could be measured once occurred. My suggestion, additional suggestion, is, if you can, set kind of KPIs, of course, quantify them if possible, and indicate the means of verification. This is very useful for an evaluator to assess how the expected results of your project can be evaluated. Risk assessment, of course, we will have information on how you will make your risk analysis. And for the criteria, the sub-criteria BCP as a living document, I think that it could be very useful for us understand how the BCP is inserted into your overall strategy as a company. So demonstrate, please, that it is coherent with your overall strategy of business. For the other two criteria, for impact, of course, overall in the impact criteria, we will know how you can prove that the BCP in this case and all the other projects are measurable. So how the impact could be assessed once occurred. So for the economic impact, of course, it will be very useful for us to have estimations in numbers for turnover, job creation, profit, or other data that could came from a kind of business plan or a business opportunity you have already assessed. In the sub-criteria justify the budget timetable, it is quite similar for all the 3 different innovation vouchers. What we do need is to see a coherence between the resources that you have estimated to run your project and of course the expected results. For social impact, of course, we are interested in perceive your conviction that your project has a social impact, even it is not easily measurable. It is very interesting for us. Interesting that you have taken into account that your project has a social impact. And for environmental and ecosystem sub-criteria is almost the same. For what concern the resources criteria, for the work plan, my suggestion is just organize your task description basing on the timeline of your project. So put first the initial activities and tasks you have to perform, and then following that, all the other tasks and activities. Concerning milestones, of course, we do not need a detailed or too bulky list of milestones. We do need just the most important and the key achievements that can you monitor the progresses of the project. And for the budget table, an explanation and justification of what you put in your list of expenditure in your budget would be very, very useful for us. You have also this opportunity in Annex 2 in particular, where it is required for you to explain all the type of costs that you are expected to bear. For the innovation voucher scheme, overall the same criteria are the same in principle with the BCO. Of course, it is different in the summary of the work project because the purposes of the innovation project are different, but the logic train is quite the same. So start from the actual situation, the need or opportunity for you to make an innovation project, objectives, activities, and expected results. That will be very, very useful for us to have a clear picture of the overall project. And for technical excellence, of course, the InnoScope and TRL is very important for us to have a justification on the current state of the art, so the starting point of your project. So please justify the technology readiness level in which your innovation is at the date of application before starting the project, and explain why it is necessary to address the innovation need. For the biomass resilience scope, of course, it is required by the project that at least two challenges have been addressed. So 2/3, the three challenges have been addressed. Green, digital, and internationalization are the three main challenges the Resilient project is addressed. Please highlight how you address two of them, at least two of them. For the methodology, of course, we expect you to describe how the project will be realized. And as the same for the BCO, the partners knowledge providers as the need of internal and external resources. The risk assessment is more not how you will plan the risk analysis, but how you have already performed a kind of risk analysis, indicating the principal risks, of course, the likelihood and contingency measures. For the innovation criteria, innovativeness criteria, here I have put what is, in my opinion, what will be the focus. So for environmental perspective, zero waste or circular perspective. From the process, what is beyond the state of the art of your project respect to the other solutions available, and from value chain perspective, how you can have an impact also in the whole value chain, or how the innovation project has an impact in the value chain. For impact is almost the same as for BCO. So estimation in the economic impact. Please do put numbers. For us, is very, very interesting to see that you have already evaluated and assessed the clear objectives. For all the other impact criteria, there is are quite the same for the BCO. For the sub criteria, for the criteria resources, of course, it is the same, unless I think that here the description of the budget and description of methodology should be more detailed, in my opinion, because we are talking about an innovation project with specific activities to be carried out from different aspect of your operation. So please do not put here in the methodology and in Annex 2 budget all the details. The last voucher scheme for internationalization, of course, an overall project description with a logic train, of course, starting from the business opportunity and then objectives, activities, and expected result will be useful for us. For technical excellence, of course, explain the opportunity in the geographic target set in the Resilient guidelines. So North America or Northeast Asia are the principal areas, geographic areas in which we expect the proposal are addressed. And the scope, of course, how your process of biomass products, resilient products, and or services can play a role in those geographic areas. Following that, for methodology, of course, we would like to know how the internationalization activities will be realized. and provide, of course, a reference of the resource you need and partners you need. Of course, this is very important. And expected results, what do you expect to achieve after the implementation of internationalization results? Also, it is important for us to understand how these activities are aligned with your international strategy, with the market trends. In this case, please provide data or information on the current trends of markets and possibly the source of information, and a description of your internal capacity to undertake international activities, or previous experiences, or specific task force you have for internationalization activities. For impact criteria, of course, it is almost the same of the previous one. So for economic, do some estimation how the internationalization activities will improve your business. And for resources, of course, the same of BCO and in a project, more or less. I know that my time is quite expiring, but I will go through the results of the discussion following the first evaluation round with other evaluators. So what are the positive points we as evaluators teams have highlighted? So for good applications, positive points. The best application were, of course, clear, concise, and not redundant. There was a good alignment between the requirements of the call and the objectives and expected outcomes of the project proposed. And the best proposal were those in which the active engagement of the company was clearly showed with reference of their previous activities and, of course, targets and objectives of the whole business. Negative points, instead, we have found some. For instance, there were too generic answers or lack of consistency in replies. Implementation plan seldom were not fully coherent with objectives. Repetition were not appreciated, of course, and too generic or low explanation and arguments about their answers. Also for task description, that is very important to understand how you will perform the work. Must be, of course, clear. And the absence of data, figures, or quotation was not a good point for an evaluator to assess proposals. Finally, I have here a list of overall tips for you. So before starting to edit the answers, suggestions are to read the whole application form just to understand how the different level of information are organized in the template. Read the question carefully, of course, and focus the text on the information asked, only on the information asked, of course, in all the criteria and sub-criteria. Pay attention of the word limitation, of course, and most of all, go to the point. This must be the resume of the first overall tips. Of course, we appreciate well edited proposals, so please do complete the annexes and enrich the proposal with data tables and graphs that can be more explicit and clear than any other description, word description. Of course, always quoting the source from where you take the data and the information in case. Focus on the very innovative side of your application. Of course, when you describe an innovation, many other innovative aspect, secondary aspect came across, but you can focus on the very innovative aspect of your project. The following one is very important for us. Quantify the expected result whenever possible, and provide the means of verification, because it makes us understand that you have assessed very good the situation and the opportunity from the project. Then try to demonstrate, of course, the economic impact of your project, filling also the budget table in detail, as I said before. Try to evidence how the voucher, the innovation voucher, could benefit your company. For instance, saying what you will do if you do not receive the grant, and also ask the referent cluster or even an external eye to read your proposal, because in many cases it seems for us for a writer that all the information are clear, but for external evaluators maybe it's not. So my suggestion is, if somebody that does not know very in detail your project could have read of your proposal, that would be very, very helpful for you and of course for us at the end. I think I'm done. I don't know if you have any question or other queries.
All right, thank you, Fabio.
I was 5 minutes more.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's okay. That's okay. I think everything that you said was very important. I think Fabio gave some very good takeaways for your application. So I would totally recommend, when writing it, to go back to the slides to see like what is asked. I know that there is a very strict word count limit, so that you can write only few things, but it's important to write the right things. And I think indeed one of the most important tips is like to be really concrete and give some examples, give some numbers, so that we actually have a better idea of what your project is about and how it will be and what the effect of the project will be. So I saw that there were 2 questions in the chat. One from Michael, can you write a BCP for a whole industry instead of a company? Similar what Johnny has done. I think, can you elaborate a bit more on your question, Michael? Are you like a representative of a sector, or why did you have this question?
Yeah, so I had the question because Yanni made some interesting presentations regarding the wine industry. So that's basically on how it helps some of his innovations, how it helped the wine industry. So I'm focusing on the olive industry and the olive waste. And that has a major impact on the whole olive industry. So I'm interested to take a similar approach for the BCP.
And you are an olive producer company, or?
Yeah, olive oil producer and innovative solutions for olive waste treatment.
All right. So, well, please correct me if I'm wrong, or like give me some extra information. What I think is that the BCP is like a plan on a risk assessment on how your business can like cope with all the challenges that are external to your business. So in your case, to the olive industry. And I understand your question, like, can we do this for the whole sector? I suppose in a way you can do this, but in how will this be like quite interesting for you as a company individually being there? I don't know how your company is called, but like, how will this benefit your company? Because Be Resilient, we want to like support SMEs and in being more resilient. So I don't see really how this BCP for the whole sector is going to be very useful because it is really individual as well. I mean, if you are a company that is located somewhere that, yeah, I see that there is a
Yeah, if you don't mind, if you don't mind,
sure.
Laura, since the BCP is my thing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Laura. The thing is, with the BCP, we will take into account certain specifics that are really pertains to each organization. So you can create, and I think that perhaps that's what you're asking, is there a contingency plan for a whole industry that can be created in case of big crisis? I think that the basis could be a sort of uniform roadmap, but at the end of the day, the continuity of your organization is specific to your organization. And I don't think that it would be of high value, for instance, within your company, for somebody else to be able to duplicate it, because either the information will be too abstract or they will not be able to apply it to their own company. So I think that the idea of a general roadmap per sector or per industry could be a very good idea. But I think for a business continuity plan, you really need to take criteria that are internal to the organization, and that makes it quite difficult to make a uniform BCP.
Yeah, and for the Be Resilient project, we are really looking into this individual BCP and not really into one of the whole sector. So I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Then the second one is from Celine. She asks for an example of the link between the internationalization application and one of the principal focus of the Be Resilient maximizing usage of available feedstock and its subsequent valorization of side streams. So you actually ask for just a example of the internationalization project, right? Yeah, so maybe I can give the mic to Cécile. Do you have some good examples up your sleeve?
Yeah, of internationalization, we get a couple of different projects. It can be, for example, SME wants to, who has very innovative projects, a very innovative process or product, and this SME wants to go abroad because it's innovative for the country where it's going to be, or it can be also SME wants just to have a look at the market because they want to invest in this market, and so they are going to they are going to participate in an exhibition or things like that. For you, Celine, as I know your business, I think it's not this one. The BCP is better for you than the internationalization. But if you want, I can just go deeper after that.
All right, I hope this answers your question. I see another one from Federico. Okay, I have to read it first. So for the internationalization, we want to start production of organic fertilizers. And for the first call, they were rejected. And working in fertilizers, we don't want to go sell fertilizers in other countries respecting the principle of proximity. So it will be accepted to have an internationalization proposal that is only for sharing best practices or having like mutual support in similar experiences. Well, I think it's a hard question. So if anybody has an answer, you can totally answer.
I'm gonna read it again.
Yeah. But so the point is that you don't want to sell fertilizers, but like share your expertise in other countries. That's what I understand. And say it could be an internationalization project, as it is you selling something. It's not a product, but it's like expertise in foreign countries. But my question would mainly be, what is the link to the biomass valorization?
May I answer?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. No, yeah, the valorization is just to take all the biomass and have like recipes for organic fertilizers with biomass, done by biomass. But my question is like, I don't want to take either the biomass from abroad, transportation cost, no proximity, and I preferably don't want to sell fertilizer abroad. I prefer to sell it in the region. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I've lost the images. Anyway, so this is what I'm worried about. I don't want to sell fertilizer in the US. No, it should stay. If I take the material from the farmers, I want to give them back the fertilizer, but the same context. So I prefer, we don't want to take organic matter from EU and bring it to the US. No, so I think it's not correct as a proximity principle. But I'm interested in understanding if other countries are having the same or similar projects. Maybe share ideas or share support. Might be acceptable as a proposal, or is just valorization or selling products abroad.
Yeah, Federico, we hear you, but not very well. So I'm not sure that I understood you well. Just did you get a feedback why your project was not accepted on the first call?
Yeah, we got a feedback, but okay, yeah, sure. But we were doing like for the innovation project. So, but this time we prefer maybe to have a less. I've no other partners, but working alone, and go for internationalization. But we want to just to know if it's acceptable to do this, because we don't want to sell things abroad.
Okay, but you want to sell your process.
I don't want to sell anything. I want to like working maybe with another country in Germany, with another company or another facility in Germany or in the US, and check and see with them if they did the same, if they produce the same fertilizer using the biomass and valorize the biomass, and and see how they do it, and maybe have a mutual support. We can support them and they can support us in identify the better products to sell in each other regions. I cannot see you anymore.
We are there.
Yeah, but I don't know what happens with the. Okay, now we're back. I'm back as well. Okay. It might make sense, like join other similar countries and work with them, other similar facilities, and work with them for the biomass valorization.
The only thing I don't understand is you want to find a partner, for example, in the US, because in Germany it doesn't work because it's not a third country. So you want to find a partner in the US, for example, and just to
might be, yeah.
And just to
example,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. The idea is to have a mix of fertilizer that are mixed with compost, which is needs like much more circularity than what it happened now, is not sold anymore anywhere, and biochar, for example. And in Europe, especially in Italy, there is a very low production of biochar, but in the US is much more developed, the biochar production, not for energy purpose, but for fertilizer purpose. You cannot even call it biochar if you don't use it as a fertilizer. So it might be interesting to have a partnership with a country in the US and start sharing with them ideas, because we don't compete. No, we're not competitors, because I strongly believe that my residues should stay in my region. I don't believe on bringing organic matter in other countries. Preferably, we need organic matter from other countries, maybe.
But thanks to this partnership, you are going to grow your business, your own business, and an American business. Because you are going to share knowledge.
My own business in Emilia-Romagna region. I don't want to go even to Tuscany. I mean, it's for the proximity principle, which is an EU principle for waste management and residues. You cannot go up over your cluster. So, it's quite important. And I think it might be applied for many other internationalization processes.
I don't know, Laura.
I don't know.
Well, I think that at the moment is not like for us clear enough what your specific objectives are. But like when I read the document on the explanation of all the calls, we are for the internationalization project. We are looking for projects that like it says here that you have to provide sufficient evidence demonstrating the internationalization process of the biomass resilient products or services. So we are really looking for your company to either like sell or try to sell or your products abroad, do some market study there, but that's not really what you want, or like to expand your services outside of your country, like into a third country. So if you are only looking for some partners, I think it is not eligible for this call. If you are really like trying to build your business abroad, or then it can be, but it's just like not very clear to me now what you really want to like have as activities, because also in the internationalization voucher it is required that you have 50% of external expertise. So I'm not sure what you were thinking of this 50%. This can be like given to studies or market research or benchmarking. It can also be traveling or going to international exhibitions. So, I mean, yeah, it's a bit, I think you have to like define it more and then get back to us, and then we can give you a more straight answer. I would suggest to like go through the file on the website and then like get back to us with your more defined project, and then we can give you better advice, because now it's still a bit too flu, I think.
Okay, no, okay. I understand, and then I don't want to steal more time from the other questions or the discussion. So I'll define the idea and then get back to you.
Yeah, perfect, because it is quite clear what you can do, but it is not, well, it is not quite clear to us what you as a company will do now. So I see in the chat all things.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All things like coming up, but it's all people that have meetings now. So I wanted to thank you all for being here. I want to thank the presenters for also having this very interesting presentations. For those who didn't do it yet, please send me your presentation so that I can share it with all the attendees. This was also one of the questions. Yes, I will share all the presentations as soon as I have them. And so if you have any more questions, you know where to find us. And I hope you will have some fruitful meetings in the next part of the event. And otherwise, I wish you all a very pleasant rest of the week.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Bye.
Thank you.